Hey everyone, welcome back to another handheld news recap. I've been away sick for a bit, but I'm getting back in the game now. So there's a lot of news that I haven't covered over the last couple of months. We're going to really quickly summarize that, including some Intel drivers, AMD drivers, the Ayaneo 3, as well as two new Ayaneo devices that have been announced. We've also got Onexplayer that launched their G1, as well as an upcoming Onexplayer device called the onexsugar. Probably the biggest news of this last week is that ASUS has teased a new handheld. We're guessing it's the ROG Ally 2. There was also a release of a version of SteamOS 3.8 that some people were able to modify and get it running on other devices, so we'll take a look at that. The new Legion Go S models with the Z1 Extreme are now available for pre-order, and they also come with SteamOS, so we'll take a very quick look at that. And lastly, we're going to take a look at a couple of cool products. And without any further delay, let's dive into it. We'll start with our quick news, and the first thing up is our Intel drivers. There's a new driver for the MSI Claw and other Intel devices that is 6653. We have game compatibility for 3 new games. I'm going to butcher this, but Inzoi, I'm not sure how you say it, that new simulation game. We've also got Karma, the Dark Ages, and the first Berserker. We also have some game performance improvements for Rise of the Ronin. Aside from that, there are some known issues. If you want to see more, check out the link in the description. Next up, we have a new AMD driver. This is an optional update. This is 25.3.2, and we have new game support for Assassin's Creed Shadows, as well as The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. We have fixed issues improvements that are mostly related to the 9000 series graphics cards, so if you have one of those and are interested, check the description for more information. Next, we have some updates for Ayaneo. So the first one is for the Ayaneo 3. So that campaign has actually just come to an end, or it's just at the tail end of it. And we have some shipping updates that the HX370 version is going to start shipping in late April. So we've got about a month or so before that one starts to ship. And then of course the 8840 model that's also available is going to be shipping sometime in mid-May. There was also a number of reviews that have gone live, and so far it seems to be a fairly positive reception. I think a lot of people like myself are really liking that little snap out option that you have for the modules. Honestly, I would probably be playing with it till I broke it. But anyway, it's kind of neat. Check it out. I'll drop those links in the description, and you can check out a couple of videos. There was also a couple of other announcements for Ayaneo. There was actually 2 Android handhelds that they've announced. The first one being the Ayaneo Pocket S2, and this is basically a refresh of the Pocket S, if you've ever seen that one before. It was an Android handheld that looked very similar to a phone in my opinion. It had a nice glass front and some aluminum on the sides. So this is the next generation. It looks similar, but I can see that they've done a few different changes to the overall design. It doesn't look quite like an iPhone 4 anymore. But the main change here has been the new chipset. So this has the Snapdragon G3 Gen 3, which Ayaneo is claiming that it's going to be roughly 30% more powerful than the previous device. So that's a decent boost. They've also added Wi-Fi 7 as well. Apparently they've improved the cooling system. There's no information on when this is going to be launching, so we'll have to stay tuned. And of course, as I hear more, I'll keep you guys up to date. And this wasn't the only device that was announced. We also got another smaller Android device from Ayaneo called the Ayaneo Pocket Ace. The Pocket Ace is a bit smaller, kind of reminds me of some of the smaller Anbernic devices. The difference here, though, is that the chip that it has is actually pretty powerful. It has the Snapdragon G3X Gen 2, which is actually the same chip that they had in their original Pocket S. And that chipset is actually pretty powerful. When I got my hands on with the Pocket S, I was able to try it out a bit, and it handled pretty much everything that I threw at it. So if you're interested in learning more about either of these two devices, I will link the article in the description. And of course, when more information becomes available, I'll let you guys know. We also had some Onexplayer updates, the first one being that the Onexplayer G1 has now started to ship. I've received mine and I've had a chance to play with it. I'm really enjoying it. I am working on a video of it. I was going to put out first impressions about a month ago, but of course I got quite sick, so I wasn't able to really do any videos. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more testing so that I can give a proper review, and that should be coming out pretty soon in the near future. But if you're curious about that device, I'll drop their website in the description. You can check it out and get a little bit more information. Interestingly though, Onexplayer actually announced their first Android handheld called the onexsugar. And this is a very interesting device because it has two screens. You can configure it to look similar to a Nintendo DS, or you can actually flip it around to just have a single display. So I have yet to see an updated prototype that I've been able to try out yet. I did get to go hands-on very, very briefly at CES, but I wasn't able to show any images of it. But it looks like it's very similar, just maybe a little bit more cleaned up. So this handheld, you can move around, you can readjust the position of the screens and the controllers. It looks like it's going to be very interesting. I'm also curious how the durability is going to be, but I think we're going to have to wait until some people get it hands-on, and we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to test it out with a loaner unit, but as I learn more about that and we get a little bit closer to the launch, I'll give you guys a little bit more information. One thing that we do know is that it's going to be running the Snapdragon G3 Gen 3, which is the same chip that we saw, that we just talked about in the Ayaneo Pocket S2. So yeah, it seems like the next generation of Android handhelds seem to be going with this APU. So yeah, let's see what comes of it, and I'll let you guys know as I learn more. Now that we've gone through all of the updates from the last couple of months, as well as our quick news, the biggest news today is that we had a teaser from ASUS for a new handheld device that's going to be coming probably soon. ASUS had put out a tweet that had this little video of a little robot that gets stuck in this little machine with an ROG Ally, and it gets upgraded. So they're obviously teasing that a new handheld is coming. And something that was kind of interesting is Microsoft had, I think Xbox had actually replied to their tweet just with a meme. So probably hinting that this is going to be an Xbox branded handheld. At least that's what people are suspecting right now. We don't really have any information as far as what kind of processor this is going to be running and what the specs are, the display. We really know nothing. We just know that something is coming. A lot of people are suspecting that it's probably going to have the AMD Z2 Extreme, which is something that we're expecting in the Legion Go 2. And if you wanted to get a rough picture of what that APU is like, it's very similar to an HX370, except it's been modified a bit. A few cores and threads have been removed, so it's going to be probably slightly less powerful, but it might be more efficient. We're going to have to wait to see. No news on a release date or really anything, but I would imagine that we're probably going to get some more information very soon. If we don't get it in the next little bit, I would imagine that we're probably going to hear more when we get to Computex, and they'll probably have some... I'm sure they'll have models on the floor that people could try out, and they'll be able to showcase it a bit more, but we'll have to wait to see on that. In the meantime, though, I'm really curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this. What do you think the specs are going to be? Is this something that you think is going to be an interesting handheld to look at, or are you leaning more towards maybe the Legion Go 2? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Post it in the comments, and let's talk about it there. We have a couple of products to go over in this video. There's actually one that you've seen in the background this whole time, and that's a mobile controller from a company called Zike. I've taken a look at a number of these mobile controllers. I've shown some on the channel and others that I've just, done on my own. I haven't shown it. I've just played with it and tested it out. And my first controller was actually the Backbone. And I must say that if you're looking at the Backbone versus the Zike, there's a major difference here. This one is on the smaller side of some of these mobile controllers that I've tested, but it certainly has some major advantages over the Backbone. I would say the biggest is the ergonomics. Like, the controllers feel good in the hand. They're a little bit small for my hands, but for a lot of people, I think they would be quite suitable. Like I had mentioned, the ergonomics are quite comfortable. The main thing that you want in a controller is actually the buttons and joysticks. The joysticks are fairly comfortable. They are like a middle size, but they're, very usable. The D-pad is micro switches as well as the face buttons, and those are one of those things that you either love it or you hate it. I tend to like micro switches in my controllers. One thing that I do like is that the USB port here, it can move around, like it's flexible. I've had controllers that it's firm and it can actually damage your USB-C port on your phone, so you want to make sure that you have one that has a bit of flexibility. As far as stretching out, you'll be able to fit your phone and maybe a small tablet. It won't work with something like a Legion Go. It doesn't quite stretch out quite enough. Although that USB-C port can connect to your computer and act as a controller, so it's a bit of a missed opportunity there. And if you take a look at the back of the controller, you do have a couple of buttons here, as well as some nice textured grip on the controller, so it's not going to slip out of your hand super easy. I would say that the triggers are actually very nice. Like they have a nice tension to them, something that I do like. I like controllers that have a bit more tension. And yeah, overall, it feels fairly good quality. The rubber on the back here where your phone rests is also fairly soft, so you're not going to worry about scratching your phone. There's also a USB-C port at the bottom. If you have your phone connected, you can still charge it, which is very handy because when you're gaming, you want to make sure that you're able to keep your device from dying. And putting your phone in the device, it's fairly straightforward. All you need to do is basically grab the device, make sure to line up the USB-C port properly, and then all you have to do is basically pull your device apart, snap it in, and you're good to go. The controller also has Hall effect joysticks and Hall effect triggers, so if that's something that's important to you, this device will have that. If you're interested in checking out this device, I'll leave a link in the description. Zike did send this out to me. There was no cash that exchanged hands, but they did let me keep the device, and I kind of like mobile controllers, so I wanted to share this with you guys. So check out the description if this is something you want to learn more about or are looking to purchase one. And now the second product is another controller, and this is actually probably my favorite controller. So this works on your Nintendo Switch, works on your PC, as well as your Android device. You can pair it up to a lot of different things. I haven't tested on everything that it can pair to, but great controller for its compatibility. But I think the thing that I like most about the controller is actually just the controls on the controller. The device also looks really nice, has nice orange RGB. The joysticks feel very premium. The face buttons and D-pad are micro switch, which I really like. The triggers feel really good. You could press it anywhere and it's a nice smooth press. And one thing that I like about the back here is you can actually turn a little switch here and turn them into hair triggers that actually isn't just a short throw. It actually has a micro switch that slides out. So you get micro switches on the triggers, or you can have the full analog. And yeah, I gotta say, like overall, it's just a really nice looking controller. It comes with this cool stand if you buy that bundle, which has a USB-A cord that you can plug into your computer, but also a USB-C so you could charge the controller while it sits there. The controller also has two back buttons that can be programmed, and there's a number of different pairing modes. I'm not going to go through that today because we're just doing a quick preview of this controller. But overall, like I said, it's probably one of my favorite controllers. I really like the feel of it. I love the features, and honestly, I just really like the micro switches. I first tried those on the Onexplayer X1, and I've kind of grown to love them since. So if you're interested in checking out this controller, I will leave a link in the description. If I have any coupon codes, I will also leave them there. Highly recommend checking out this controller if you're in the market for one. Full disclosure, this was provided to me by Gamesir. There's no payment, so this is just a controller that they provided for me to review that I was able to keep. And honestly, I can say I do fully recommend this controller if you're looking. We actually have the new Legion Go S models that are out for pre-order right now, and that's the models with the Z1 Extreme, as well as the SteamOS models. So it seems like the Z1 Extreme Legion Go S running SteamOS seems to be the best option in my opinion to look at right now. The Legion Go S with the Z2 Go was a little bit lackluster in its performance, so I think the Z1 Extreme is going to be a little bit more, I would say, in line with what we would be expecting from a device nowadays. And honestly, like I really do like the Legion Go S as far as like the ergonomics, the controllers. There's a lot of really nice things about it. But that Z2 Go was really holding it back and really hard to make it something that I could recommend to most users. So we're going to have to wait to see how this other model does, how the SteamOS model performs, how the sales are. Like I'm really curious to see if this is going to be something that's going to be a hit or whether it's going to be a flop. I would also be curious what you guys think. Is this something that you consider? Or are you going to be waiting for one of these Z2 Extreme devices like the Legion Go 2 or what we can assume is going to be the ROG Ally 2? Let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are on this. And lastly, for the Legion Go S, if you're curious about the performance versus the Legion Go or Windows versus Bazzite performance on the Legion Go S, and specifically the Z2 Go model, check out some videos that I've recently posted. I did some performance testing, and it's pretty telling how much more efficient Bazzite is over Windows when you take a look at the performance comparison. And our last bit of news is actually related to the Steam Deck. I'm not going to do my usual SteamOS updates that I usually do, but I wanted to talk about SteamOS 3.8. So this was an update that some people were able to actually use a recovery image of and be able to install it on other devices like the Legion Go, the ROG Ally, the ROG Ally X, and test it out on there. Now, it's certainly not a perfect situation here. Like with the Legion Go, the controllers weren't configured properly. So you had to download, what's that? I think it's called Handheld Daemon to be able to make it work. So not fully working yet, but if you wanted to check out a guide on how to do that, there are a few videos out there. There's also the original Reddit post that gives some instructions. ETA Prime covered this on a couple of different devices. I will link those in the description. But it seems like it's mostly running fairly well. Some people have talked about the performance being improved. I haven't really seen anything that's compared it with Bazite. I do plan to compare Bazite to SteamOS when we get the actual official release that comes out. But in the meantime, like I said, I have not really seen anything. Some people say it feels like it's performing better, but I don't really like to go on how it feels. I'd rather just have some data. But anyway, check it out if you're curious. And if you're brave enough to try and install this in your device, give it a shot and let me know in the comments how it went. And that's going to wrap it up for this weekly. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.